I'd like to talk about putting on a front. But before we delve into that, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, you're very, very welcome. So putting on a front, what do I mean by that? Well, many of you know who watch these videos. I'm saying many. There isn't really a lot of people watching the videos, but those of you who do watch probably already know that I very sadly lost my son. So I'm grieving my son. It's been over it's coming up to about 4.5 years now. And then I counsel women who have also experienced child loss. And many times they sort of talk about when they're in public, when they're around people, how they feel that they need to behave, in a certain way, that they need to put up a front. Now, putting up a front, you can sort of argue it, possibly, and you can see things from different perspectives. From one perspective, the way I see it is that you do need to, obviously, when you're in public, you need to be able to compose yourself. And if you're feeling very, very vulnerable or very tearful or very upset, very down, depressed possibly, it's probably not a good idea to be in public, I suppose, I would say. And if you're feeling depressed, it's very hard to find motivation to actually be around people. It's something that you would naturally avoid doing. So I suppose that would probably happen quite naturally, that you would avoid these kind of events where you're around people and you have to put up a front. Sometimes people come to, I remember when I lost my son, people came to pay their respects. Now, in some cultures, and mine included, paying your respects can mean that it's almost as if it's seen as a sense of duty to pay respects. So, even someone who lives in another country might be visiting your country, and then they might sort of think, we need to go and pay our respects because that family had a loss. And that might be 6 months, it might be 8 months, 10 months after the loss, but they still feel that it's a sense of duty, if you like. And that's okay. But then there's times where you feel, okay, so because people have come into your home, into your space, you now need to behave in a certain way. And that's putting up a front, isn't it? That's actually, behaving in a way that's acceptable as far as society goes, as far as, behaving in a way that's seen as it is socially acceptable. And you may not feel that way. You may not feel that day that, you're feeling as if you can even speak to someone. You can even, make eye contact with somebody. You're struggling. And that is difficult. Putting up a front is difficult. And I'm not saying that, in which case you need to completely, throw yourself on the floor and, be wailing. I'm not really talking about that. What I am talking about is thinking about your own mental health, your own grief, your own, where you're at with it, and being honest with yourself, because putting up a front in front of, around people is exhausting. It is really, really exhausting. It's like you thinking, oh, well, I'm in this, let's say, you've started a new job, you're around people that are of different cultures or different culture to your own, and you are trying to fit in. So you're trying to be somebody that you're not really, and you're not being honest with yourself, by thinking that I want to please these people and I want them to like me, I want them to, think that I'm one of them. And you might be just being dishonest to yourself. And that is really, really exhausting. So it's sort of something similar to that. Putting up a front is exhaustive, and it's, it's only And you know, if you carry it on for a long time, it's only your own mental health that's going to suffer. So my advice to my clients is that, you know, you need to find a balance in that. You know, if day after day after day there are people coming over to the house to pay their respects, you know, because you had a loss, you have to be honest and open with yourself and give yourself time. And when, you know, someone's giving you a call saying that we're coming round, you know, say, if it's not a good time, just say, look, I'm so sorry. I know that you want to come over and I would like to, you know, if you would like to see them, say that you'd like to see them. But right now is not the right time. I'm just so struggling. And to be honest and open with that. And I think if it was a true friend, if it was a true friend, do you know what I would do? I would say, okay, that's fine. Listen, I've cooked so-and-so today and I've made some extra. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at your doorstep and then call you and you just come and pick it up. And I'm going to leave it on the doorstep. I'm going to get into my car and then I'm going to call you just before I drive off for you to pick it up. How's that? And with these sort of little gestures, you know, that, you know, people care. And it's not a matter of, you know, me just, it's not about me that I've got to go and pay my respects and that's then my box ticked because I've done that. It's having, you know, empathy, isn't it, about the other person, seeing the world from their perspective. And if they're saying that, look, I really don't think it's, you know, I don't know if I can do this today. It's absolutely fine. You know, is there anything I can do for you? You know, do you need anything for the kids? Do you need me to drop anything off for you? And, you know, that would be such a help to that person who's going through, you know, heightened levels of grief. They would really appreciate that, rather than you coming over. And sometimes people say the most unhelpful things, don't they? Like, for example, such as you know, they're in a better place, and, you know, God was missing an angel, things like that you hear, and you think, it's not really not helping right now. You know, it's really not helping. You know, to sit with somebody and say, you know, I'm just here, is probably the best thing that you could do as a friend, as somebody who's supporting someone who's grieving, who's just, you know, just lost someone. But as I say, there's little gestures that you can do, just dropping off some food or dropping off some shopping, which is, you know, far more helpful than, you know, just visiting to tick that box, and for that person to then have to put, you know, on a front for you. That's not fair. It really isn't. So I think the main thing is have empathy. How would I feel if I was in this situation? What would I need? What would help me? You know, and then if you think about it from that point of view, just going over isn't probably the thing to do, but to, you know, just have do another, you know, kind gesture, acts of kindness towards that person and their family would be far more helpful, and again would mean that, you know, they don't have to, you know, put on a front for you. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope that you found the content of it helpful. Do share the video if you feel that someone would benefit from it. You know, a gentle, well, actually I don't know how gentle it would be, you know, gentle, you know, making someone see this sort of point of view, perhaps, perspective. But do, you know, like, subscribe, do comment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So thank you.